My name is Clarence Thomas, born in Pinpoint, Georgia, where the Gullah people fish the marsh and work the coastal clay. We had nothing much but dignity, and my grandfather, Myers Anderson, he sat my brother and me down one August morning, and he'd say, "Boy, I got no education, got no money, got no chances, but you boys are gonna have one every hour, every day." He could not read the Constitution, but he knew its deepest promise. In God's eyes we are equal, and no man can take that away.
My name is Charles, King of England and Scotland, born to Windsor and to Balmoral, the 19th of my royal line, to watch America grow. As Oscar Wilde once noted, we share everything in common, except the language, as you know. My mother, Queen Elizabeth, stood in this same sacred chamber in 1991, and now her son has come to say that the nation born by breaking from the crown that I inherited has become my dearest ally. I give thanks to God this day.
Your Majesty, I have to say, there's something almost holy about the two of us standing here together on this ground. The grandson of American slaves and the King of England, not by chance, not by accident, but by the Lord's own hand. Two men, two grandfathers, both somehow bound together by the God who writes his story in wind and time. The wind obeys thy word, stormy wind fulfilling thy command. He changes times and seasons, all our days are written in thy book.
O God, eternal author, thy story moves in wind and time.
Thy will is done.
Justice Thomas, I confess, when I read about your journey from the Georgia marsh to the highest court upon your land, I thought of all the years my family held the power over people that no man and no king had any right to command. And yet here we are together, finding in that old document. The very words our Creator placed in every human heart. All men are created equal. Your grandfather knew it without reading. It was written there by God from the very start.
Your Majesty, that old document you speak of, Jefferson wrote it down in 1776. All men are created equal. That's not politics. That's natural law. If all men are created equal, then no man can own another man, and we can only be governed by our consent. That was always God's own plan. How then could a nation founded on those principles have permitted slavery and segregation's shame? The answer is it couldn't, not without being untrue to its own name. My grandfather knew that truth without the lawyers, without the law reviews and lecture hall. He knew it at that kitchen table, that God's truth stands above them all.
I have read the Declaration in the silence of my study, and I confess those words have always stirred something deep in me. These are not mere words of politics, they are a covenant with heaven. America, your founding was God's gift to you and me. These truths are final. Justice Thomas and King Charles are leading us to understand. These truths are final. Endowed by our Creator, no man takes them away. All men are created equal. That is final. Endowed by their Creator. That is final. From the Gullah shores of Georgia to the highlands of Balmoral, from a grandfather who couldn't read to a king who crossed the sea, from the rebel and the redcoats to the Yank and to the Tommy. One truth rings across the ages: God's truth has set us free. These truths are final. These truths are final. Forever and forever. These truths are final.
Thomas held these words. Above his head like a torch of fire. Abraham Lincoln called this document the sheet anchor of our soul. Martin Luther King stood on a mountain, and he echoed what the founders wrote in 1776 to make a broken people whole. One life only, said Nathan Hale.
I regret that I have but one life to give for my country.
Give me liberty, said Patrick Henry.
I know not what course others may take, but as for me, give me liberty or give me death.
Those soldiers crossing Delaware in darkness, cold and snow. And my grandparents at that kitchen table, August 1955. We're giving you our living, boys. That is the courage that I know.
From Bunker Hill and Yorktown, where our fathers stood as enemies, to the Western Front where Yanks and Tommies bled in the same mud and rain, to the beaches of Normandy, where we stormed the shore together, British and American under God. And the world was born again. The rebel colonists became the Yanks. The redcoats became Tommies. And together we faced darkness when the night sought to reign. This year we mark September's anniversary, when London wept with New York, and we pledged never again.
These truths are final. The blood of brothers made them so. These truths are final. From Bunker Hill to Normandy, one river used to flow. All men created equal, final, endowed by their creator, final. The Yank and Tommy side by side brought darkness to its knees. One truth outlasted all the guns. God's truth has set us free. These truths are final. These truths are final. But the night comes back when proud men call God's rights a lie. We've seen it every age. The night is always waiting just outside the light we made. These truths are final. But do we still believe them? These truths are final.
We must name the ones who fought it. Woodrow Wilson called God's rights a nonsense. Said the government would give you everything you'd ever need. The slave power wrote it into law and custom, that some men were born to follow, some to lead. Where the Spirit of the Lord is, there is liberty. But Wilson chose the state above the law. I lived through their America, Your Majesty. I know the cost when God is ignored. And we in Britain know it too, Clarence. When natural rights give way to government and state, Stalin, Hitler, Mussolini rose from that progressive vision that Wilson so admired before the killing and the hate.
We hold these truths to be self-evident, that all men are created equal. If all men are created equal, that is final. If they are endowed with unalienable rights, that is final.
We hold these truths to be self-evident, that all men are created equal, that they are endowed by their Creator with certain unalienable rights, that among these are life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness. For the support of this declaration, with a firm reliance on the protection of divine providence, we mutually pledge to each other our lives, our fortunes, and our sacred honor. My fellow graduates, courage is a habit, and so is cowardice. Remember, the Lord is with us. He will never leave us or forsake us. These truths are final.
I would not call those truths final in their application. Equality is not a finished fact. It is a standard to be worked out in the life of the nation.
Blessed is the nation whose God is the Lord. The psalmist wrote it plain. But the century that abandoned God became the world's most terrible reign. But we must speak of those who fought it. Woodrow Wilson called God's rights a nonsense. Said the government would give you everything you'd ever need. The slave power wrote it into law and custom, that some men were born to follow, some to lead. They took their ideas straight from Bismarck's Germany and told us rights descend from Washington above. But I lived through their America, Your Majesty, and I know what falls apart without God's love.
We will not yield!
We must fight together against evil.
And you, the sons and daughters of the Tommies who stood with them, of a nation built on scripture and the rule of law and right. America's words carry meaning. The actions of this great nation matter even more. So rise and walk in light. So pledge your life, your fortune, and your sacred honor still, with firm reliance on divine providence. Together we will.
Charles, I was at the lowest point about 43 years ago. Broken, nearly broken, in a cockroach-infested room. I had just buried both my grandparents, the two greatest souls I've known. And I asked God in that darkness, what are my principles worth? My answer then, my answer now, they are worth life itself. If you need a strength beyond yourself, rely on your faith.
Dear Jesus, I trust your promise to never leave me or forsake me. And for the support of this declaration, with a firm reliance on the providence of God, we mutually pledge to each other our lives, our fortunes, and our sacred honor. I pledge before you, Lord, my life, my fortune, and my sacred honor. You, dear Jesus, are the Christ, the Son of the living God. You are the way, the truth, and the life. These truths are final.
Clarence, I have carried the weight of a crown and centuries, the eyes of history upon me, every hour, every day. But what you just described, that moment in that apartment, tells me more about true courage than any throne could ever say. To do justice, love, mercy, not from a throne, not from a government decree, but from the God who made us equal and set his truth in you and me. Your grandfather plowed his row straight, mine ruled an empire, yet both of us arrived here by the same God's grace, you see. Stalin, Hitler, Mussolini rose from that progressive vision that Wilson so admired before the killing and the hate. The European system that he called nearly perfect became the bloodiest century the world has ever known today. These truths are final. Clarence and Charles are standing here to say, these truths are final. What God has given, no man takes away. If all men are created equal, that is final. That is final. If rights come from the Creator, that is final. From the Georgia clay to Buckingham, from a slave's grandson to a king, one truth
that we're
rings
all made
across the
special by
years.
God.
That's right, a wonderful
Let
truth.
freedom ring. Listen here, you sons and daughters of the Yanks who crossed at Normandy, of the freedmen who kept faith through 100 years of night. Blessed is the nation whose God is the Lord. You carry that in your bloodstream. Stand up when the world says bow, and speak when they say fight. So pledge your life, your fortune, and your sacred honor still, with firm reliance on divine providence. Together we will.
Listen here, you sons and daughters of the Yanks who crossed at Normandy, of the freedmen who kept faith through 100 years of night.
You carry in your bloodstream what your grandparents defended. Stand up when the world says thou, and speak when they say fight.
And you, the sons and daughters of the Tommies who stood with them, of a nation that has kept the flame of freedom through the years.
Whatever tries to shake us, whatever seeks to break us, we are bound by something deeper than our differences and fears.
So pledge your life,
your fortune,
and your sacred honor still,
with firm reliance on providence.
together
We
will stand, we will speak, we will not bow to fear.
Yanks and Tommies side by side, as we have been for years. From Normandy to now, from the marble halls to here,
These truths are final,
these truths are final.
God's truth will not disappear. These truths are final,
Clarence and Charles are leading us to say,
these truths are final.
what God has given, no man takes away. If all men are created equal,
That is final,
if rights come from the Creator,
that is final.
from the Gullah shores of Georgia to the halls of Westminster, from a grandfather who couldn't read to a king who crossed the sea, from the rebel in the red coat to the Yank and to the Tommy, one truth rings across the ages. These truths have set us free.
Truths are final,
These truths are final,
truths are final,
forever and forever.
truths are final.
These truths are final.
We hold these truths to be self-evident, that all men are created equal.
Cause that will not die.
These truths are final.
The new birth of freedom under God beneath the sky. Government of the people, by the people, shall not cease. From Windsor to Pinpoint, Georgia, we have found our peace. With courage in our hearts,
Clarence,
Charles,
the Yanks,
the Tommies,
the colonists,
the Redcoats, one nation under God and one truth
these truths
are final.